What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Guns Akimbo. Now, Guns Akimbo just came out here for VOD and in select theaters just within the past few days or so. And it actually got aired in some sort of festivals, I believe, last year. So technically this is a 2019 film, but let's just call it 2020 because that's when I got to see it. Guns Akimbo is a movie that has been directed by Jason Lee Howden, who, as you may know, is a special effects, visual effects kind of guy for a lot of the Avengers movie, X-Men, War of the Planet of the Apes and things. But he also directed the movie Deathgasm, which was a super over-the-top, bloody metal horror movie about demons and metalheads and just dildos and just about everything else. So if you've seen that movie and you enjoyed that movie, I think you're going to appreciate that. Now, this isn't a horror movie, of course, but I figured it'd be very relevant to horror fans because Jason Lee Howden directed and wrote this movie. So it's definitely appealing to our crowd. Jason Lee Howden is also a New Zealander, and they have been making some pretty great stuff over there as of late. Daniel Radcliffe is in this movie. He is one of the guys that made it out of the Harry Potter thing without being typecast again. And boy, has he. He did the movie Horns, which was awesome, I thought, too. You got Samara Weaving, who's like one of the most upcoming female actresses in the scene. She's done movies like Mayhem, Babysitter on Netflix, Ready or Not this year, and now she's here in this movie doing a completely different role, but also kind of doing something a little similar to how crazy she can get on the screen. She's definitely going to be a huge star if she isn't already, in my opinion. We also got Ned Dennehy, who has actually been in the movies like Mandy. He played Brother Swan. He was in Good Omens playing Hastur. Has also been in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows with Daniel Radcliffe, by the way. So this is kind of a reunion for them. And we also got Rhys Darby, who has been in What We Do in the Shadows movie, Flight of the Conchords. In fact, if you remember What We Do in the Shadows movie, Anton, who says, "We're werewolves, not swearwolves." He's in this, and I fucking adore him in it. He plays the wise bum, and it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, you're right. That does sound pretty fucking weird.
Now, the movie is about Miles, who is played by Daniel Radcliffe, who is this kind of down on his luck kind of guy who hasn't really come to fruition in his own self-realization, and he hates his life. He's lost his girlfriend. His life has pretty much just devolved into video games and nothing else. He decides to troll one night and go online and talk shit to people in the comment section of a live broadcast game show where people kill each other, and wakes up with guns screwed into his hands and finds himself in the real life murder game. I'm assuming that this is in the future, near future, and it's sort of a social commentary in some regards, not heavily, on, you know, how we live our lives online and offline, and kind of mixing the two together in this wildly stylistic, punk sort of futuristic, colorful action comedy. I honestly really liked it. I had a really good time. It's very fast-paced. In fact, the first 45 minutes of this movie, I felt like I watched an entire film. The other 45 minutes that I watched, because this is about an hour and 40 minutes, was a little uneven, but it still does pack a punch. The comedy's in there, and it is somewhat tongue-in-cheek, and it's also really hilarious, so it's a mixed bag of what you're going to get, but I thought it was actually pretty damn funny. Daniel Radcliffe does an amazing job of playing this down on his luck guy who's a vegan and doesn't care about killing people, doesn't believe in guns. He's the typical millennial that they kind of paint in this, and he rises to the occasion. Now, I will say the movie, you know, for the first half of the movie is just balls to the wall, perfect. And then it goes sort of down a little bit, as do most comedies in the genre. I mean, it's hard once you've got a lot of action going on, you've packed so many jokes in the first half, it starts to dwindle down to sort of pick up the pace and tell the story, and there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. Samara Weaving is outstanding in this film. She is doing this sort of mix between Harley Quinn and like Tank Girl, but a little bit more edgier. She's got metal fangs in her mouth, tattoos all over her. Her eyes are all crazy, and she is pretty nutso herself. She really played this role really well. I think she was the perfect choice for it. And to be honest, when I first saw the trailer, I didn't even realize that it was her. And her and Radcliffe together were really good. There was a couple of moments where I was like, ooh, but you know, it's just part of the movie's charm, in my opinion. Packed all these jokes into this sort of comic book, bubblegum, splatterpunk, Borderlands 2-ish sort of style gamer movie, and made it into this really stylistic, cool thing. So I think kudos to Jason Lee Howden. I think he did a really good job. This is a step up, I think, from Deathgasm, which I also enjoyed and own. I definitely would like to see him do more horror again, but this was a fun ride, and I say kudos to everyone involved in this. It just packs a punch. It's very funny. It's very fast-paced. There's a lot of action, a lot of blood, a lot of dark humor. For those of you who like that kind of stuff, it may be a little too bubblegum for some people as far as the wildly stylistic dialogue and scenes. It's really colorful, like you would find in something like 80s movies or something like that, with purples, greens, and like colors everywhere. Almost kind of like Borderlands 2 in a way. Like, the characters are very reminiscent of that. You got music in there by industrial scene band Three Teeth, who do a couple of covers. You also have Enos Rothoff does the majority of the score in this film. Even one moment in this film where they have a hammer fight scene, and all of a sudden you hear hammer time. Or is it? Which is where the song originated from. That's the kind of tongue-in-cheek sort of humor that you're going to get here. Tough for me to give a score on this one because, you know, it did drop off a little towards the end, but it was still really good, and it ends up actually wrapping up really nice in not the traditional way, although it does have some traditional elements in the movie that you will see in most of these types of films. But I think it's really important to have those kind of things anyway, because it makes you root for the movie. It makes you root for the situations that these guys come across. Plus, the villain, who's played by Ned Dennehy, he is actually pretty damn good in this. There were a few moments that I feel like they didn't need to keep it in, but they were trying to do it to try to keep the sort of rambunctiousness of the movie, to keep it going. Really good as a villain in this character. In fact, all the people in this movie are characters, like real characters. They're a little obviously over the top intentionally, and that's to be expected in this sort of Borderlands-esque sort of feeling movie. And I would rewatch this like a motherfucker, so I think you guys should definitely check it out. It is up on VOD and in select theaters currently. I believe it's like $6.99 on Vudu and like Prime. Some people are comparing it to Suicide Squad, which I think this is an infinitely better film than that. It is more fun and it's more fast-paced. I would give this movie an 8 minimum, with an 8.5 for me. Some people may think it's a 10 out of 10, but for me, 8.5. Solid movie. Definitely going to pick it up on Blu-ray or 4K, hopefully. Have you seen this movie yet? Were you anxious to see this movie yet? Did I help excite you about this movie yet? Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this film. And as always, long live the Void.